It's the latest chapter in a tale of marriage, deception, bigamy, and ultimate tragedy revolving around Corrie, a much-loved 36-year-old librarian in the small upstate New York town of Jamestown.
She was an awesome mother to her children. She was a great daughter, a sister. She was a wonderful person.
And everyone who knew her was devastated when she suddenly vanished without a trace 8 years ago.
My world stopped, but everybody else's keeps going, and that's hard. I don't care how old, they're always your babies. I miss her laugh, and I miss not talking to her because we were more than just sisters. She was my best friend.
It was particularly hard on Corrie's children, who say they lost the best mom in the world.
She was so loving and caring and put herself last in everything.
I try and look up to how she was to kind of guide my life in a way.
But there was one thing about Corrie her family didn't like, and that was her other half. Ken Anderson, whom Corrie met online after her divorce from her first husband, the father of her 2 daughters.
From the very beginning, I had an awful feeling about that man.
We never got along. All the memories I have of him, he's always been very controlling and manipulative, very his way.
The way he presented himself, I could tell he wasn't true. He wasn't right.
But Corrie had fallen in love with Ken at first sight, and they were married within months.
He mesmerized her.
Corrie and Ken would have a son, Zachary, now 14, and for a while they seemed happy.
But then it started falling apart.
The longer that they saw each other, the harder it got, because I feel like that's when she started realizing who he truly was.
And their marriage would collapse when Corrie made a shocking discovery while looking through some of Ken's papers. He wasn't really her husband. He was a bigamist who never divorced his previous wife, his 4th.
And everything started coming out.
A horrified Corrie managed to track down Ken's first wife, Stephanie Anderson, who had married him when she was just 16 and pregnant with the first of 4 children they had together.
To me, with Ken, there's just an evil about him. You look at him and you see evil.
Stephanie told Corrie horror stories about her 12-year marriage to Ken, whom she claims would padlock the doors when he went to work in the mornings and leave her captive in her own home.
There was no way to get outside until he came home from work.
She also alleges Ken often beat her and once threatened to kill her.
He had thrown me on the bed and put the gun up to my head. And he said, "I'm telling you, if you don't shut up, I am going to shoot you." And I said, "Do it, do it." I said, "I'm so tired of this, just do it." And he threw the gun to the side of the bed, picked up a pillow, put it over my face.
Stephanie says she became so afraid of Ken that she took the children and finally left him to save her own life.
I have said more than once that if I didn't leave, I'd be dead. I firmly believe that.
And she says she advised Corrie to leave Ken too, for their own safety.
The only thing I could tell her is, you've got something, nail him. Because I figured for sure he'd go to jail for bigamy.
Ken escaped that fate, but learning the terrible truth about his apparent dark side may have been too much for Corrie, who had reportedly told her family he had also abused her.
And she called and she said, "Get me out of here."
Their marriage wasn't even really valid at that point, and Corrie was pretty upset about that, so she left.
Everyone's been through a nasty breakup, but the one between Ken and Corrie Anderson went nuclear.
In Corrie's mind, the relationship was over. She was already moving on. She had recently met another man.
And they were talking about getting married.
But Huffington Post crime reporter David Lohr, who's covered the case from the beginning, says Ken wouldn't let Corrie go so easily.
It would appear that, in Ken's mind, he wasn't finished with Corrie yet. He wanted to try to continue to be with her.
He was begging, "Please talk to me, I love you." Same song and dance.
Was your mom afraid of him?
I would say yes. Absolutely.
Corrie had left Ken after she learned he was a bigamist who never divorced his previous wife.
So therefore, legally, Corrie was not married to him.
And she'd found a new man.
And they were talking about getting married.
But Ken reportedly wanted her back, and Corrie claims he was stalking her.
She felt he was coming into the house when she wasn't home.
She had called the police several times because he perpetually drove by.
Stuff would be moved around in the garage.
Corrie's worst fears were confirmed when she discovered Ken had attached a GPS device to the underbody of her car.
He had allegedly was tracking her movements.
It was scary to know that he knew every place she was, when and where. It was very scary.
Corrie reported Ken to the police and was granted an order of protection.
He was arrested for that, and about 2 weeks later he was arrested again for violating the court order that was issued after the first arrest.
Then, as the formal dissolution of their marriage approached, Corrie would suddenly vanish.
You believe there was foul play?
I do not believe she left willingly.
Corrie was reported missing when she failed to pick up daughter Shannon and son Zach after school.
It appears that that would have been out of character for her to miss something with her children.
Everyone's telling us that she's gonna be there and everything's gonna be all right, but in my mind, I'm just, something's not right.
I cried the whole way home because I knew that she was gone. I knew.
Shannon called friends and family, but nobody had seen or heard from Corrie.
It was so strange because all day I had such a weird feeling.
And Corrie's mom, Vicky, says she's still haunted by something her daughter had told her just days earlier.
She had said, if something happens to me, we take Zach.
Police say the last person known to have seen Corrie was her boyfriend, when she dropped off some lunch for him at the car dealership where he worked.
He was as alarmed as anybody else. He was very forthcoming in to what time they spoke, so he provided us with a lot of information.
Police say Corrie told her boyfriend she was going home.
We believe she reached her house because some items that she had at work were found at her house.
Then, 2 days later, Corrie's van was found abandoned in a secluded wooded area about a mile from her home. And more alarms go off.
There was no indication that she decided to just up and leave, and if she did, she's not going to leave her vehicle a mile away.
Corrie's family immediately suspected Ken might have something to do with her disappearance.
I wouldn't put anything past him. Knowing him for that long and seeing his personality and seeing who he truly was as a person, I don't feel like he would stop at anything.
But police could not connect him.
We spoke for a number of hours, and then the next day he hired an attorney and said any further interviews would have to be done with the attorney.
Have you been able to talk with Mr. Anderson since?
We spoke to him briefly with his attorney, and that was just at the station regarding some property.
That's it?
That's it.
The case would go stone cold for the next 8 years.
We didn't find any clues, there was no leads, there was nothing.
It's hard to move on because you still always have that, well, what if this happened? Or what if this happened? It's always that questioning. It makes it hard.
It took me a few years before I would let anybody sit in Corrie's seat at our table.
Then police would uncover some new clues.
We've located some evidence, we secured that, and we sent it to our lab. It's still being processed, and we're hoping for the best.
And just last month, a huge and unexpected break. Ken Anderson would be arrested on charges of kidnapping his sixth wife, whom he'd married after Corrie vanished, allegedly taking her from Jamestown, New York to Richmond, Kentucky, raping her, holding her against her will in a hotel room, and then reportedly threatening to kill her if she tried to escape. Now, police are hoping they may uncover new information from Ken about what happened to Corrie.
We've been in contact with the authorities in Kentucky, sharing information. So if there are leads developed out of this, we will follow them.
And while police have made no connection between the Kentucky case and Corrie's disappearance, news of the arrest has at least given Corrie's family hope they may finally learn what became of her.
My heart raced a million miles an hour out of my chest. I think that this is the start to the end. I think that hopefully they're gonna find some linkage to both of the cases.
It could only be good to help my mom's case, to hopefully get closure, to get answers.
I just want to have the closure knowing. Is she out there? Or isn't she? Because as a mom, I'll always hope.